I'm sorry. I accidentally saw something I shouldn't have, and it's been weighing on my mind. She looked upset, and I feel terrible about it. The image is stuck in my head, and it's had a significant impact on me. My name is Taylor Mason. After graduating, I joined the workforce like many others. There's still a lot for me to learn at work, and my boss is quite demanding. I'm often scolded for making the same mistakes repeatedly. Mason, you've made another mistake. How many times now? I'm sorry. I'm the weakest performer among my colleagues. I've always struggled with managing multiple tasks, leading to more errors when the workload is high. I get yelled at constantly, and I can't help but wonder how it came to this. In university, all I had to do was understand the lectures, so my grades were good. In the real world, I soon realized that my expectations were misguided. In fact, I was just a low-level employee prone to making errors, and this realization filled me with self-loathing. One evening, carrying this emotional burden, I stopped at a convenience store on my way home and bought a microwavable meal, lacking the energy to cook for myself. As usual, I returned to my small apartment late at night, with no one around. Stepping through the door, I was greeted by an unexpected visitor, a cat. The feline appeared well-groomed, suggesting it belonged to someone. Before I could react, the cat strolled into my apartment. "Hey, you can't just come in like that," I exclaimed, but my neighbor's voice interrupted me. "Fluffy, come back," she called out, rushing out of her apartment in a warm sports bra. I turned to face her, rendered speechless by the unexpected encounter. The woman's outfit left little to the imagination, momentarily startling me. But once I saw her feline companion strolling in, her swift apology quickly set my mind at ease. Her cat had simply wandered into my space, and she was quick to take responsibility. "Oops, my apologies," she exclaimed, realizing she was only in her undergarments and feeling her face flush. "That's my furry friend. Let me get him out of there right away." With that, she scurried back into her home, emerging moments later, donning a hoodie over her activewear. I didn't want the cat to come to any harm in my space, but I also felt uneasy about inviting a stranger inside at night. "I'll try to retrieve the cat. Please wait here for me," I replied. My attempts to capture the feline proved futile. Catching a cat can be quite the challenge, it seems. Reluctantly, I had to request the woman's assistance. To my surprise, the cat willingly complied as she carefully retrieved it. "Sincerest apologies for the inconvenience. I'll make it up to you another time," she said, departing as the evening grew late. Her attire certainly was unique. The following Saturday, the woman returned, bringing along some delectable treats as a gesture of goodwill. Yesterday, I welcomed Julia Roberts, a college student, into my room. She seemed a bit flustered, explaining that her cat, Fluffy, had escaped to the balcony, and in the process had left her with some scratches. She was a bit embarrassed by her appearance, but I assured her not to worry about it. Cats can be quite mischievous, and their scratching habits can certainly take a toll on our clothes. As she was leaving, Julia's bag unexpectedly tipped over, and its contents scattered across the floor. I quickly moved to help her gather the papers, concerned about the situation. Despite the minor inconvenience, I appreciated Julia's visit and hoped that Fluffy was safe and sound. The university had sent her numerous notices about retaking exams. As I glimpsed the papers, I grew concerned about her academic progress and the potential impact on earning her credits. The sheer volume of re-examination requirements was troubling, raising questions about the challenges she might be facing in her studies. "Did you spot it?" "Yes, I'm truly sorry." I sincerely expressed regret. At this, Julia's face flushed even deeper than when she had been seen in her undergarments. She was on the verge of tears. "Everyone says college is easy if you attend lectures, but it's impossible for me. I'm just not smart enough." Overwhelmed with emotion, Julia collapsed right where she stood. It seemed her academic performance was severely poor, putting not only graduation, but even progressing to the next level in Jeopardy. She had always been mocked for her poor grades, and it appeared she had developed a complex or even a trauma about it. Well, if you'd like, I could assist you with your studies. Ah, no. You see, I attended the same university and took the same courses you're retaking. What a coincidence. Julia was enrolled at the same institution I had attended, making her my junior. Juliet eagerly accepted my offer. It seemed she had tried seeking help from her friends before, but kept making the same mistakes, and they had given up on her. Based on the subject, there are certain strategies and approaches that can be helpful. If I could share those with her, perhaps she might find a way to succeed. So, we agreed to have a weekly study session every Saturday. After seeing the alarming number of exams she needed to retake, I grew increasingly concerned and couldn't stop thinking about it. I finished work, picked up dinner on the way home, and arrived a bit later than usual. I had planned to use our Saturday session as a break, but Julia's creativity and problem-solving skills exceeded my expectations. She consistently came up with solutions that left me puzzled. Clearly, our weekly meetings were not sufficient. As a result, I decided to add extra study sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays at Julia's place. This was also because Julia offered, "Let me cook dinner as a way to thank you for the study sessions." Teaching someone is a form of learning for oneself, so I made a conscious effort to explain the concepts that seemed challenging for Julia in a manner that was easy for her to grasp. Julia appeared to be dedicated to her studies in her own unique way, and her grades gradually started to improve. Becoming more aware of my surroundings led to a decrease in my minor errors. I was able to go through more days without being scolded, and faced fewer challenging moments at my job. Then, 6 months later, I did it. I didn't have any resits anymore. Finally, Julia was freed from the hell of resits. Julia was able to understand a lecture after 6 months of study, and she no longer needed my help. It felt a little lonely, but I should be genuinely happy for her growth. Well done, you worked really hard. If you don't understand something, tell me, okay? Yes, thank you. The study meetings ended with that, but the habit of meeting for half a year didn't just disappear. So I had the chance to eat Julia's dinners occasionally, and I also invited her for meals. We also talked about things like what kind of company to work for and other life advice. A few months passed like this, and Julia was able to move up a grade. I was thinking of giving her a present to celebrate her advancement. Just as I was thinking about this while heading to work, there was something on my desk. It was a document, but not just any document. A personnel change, and I'm the new secretary to the president. I was dumbfounded by the document informing me of an unexpected personnel change. Suddenly, my boss patted my shoulder, and I jumped. "The president is calling for you. Follow me." With that, my heart was about to jump out of my chest. What did I do? I desperately tried to remember, but I couldn't think of anything. I made my way to the president's office with a stiff body. There were guests in the president's office besides the president. It seemed that I had been called to the president's office because these guests wanted to see me. "Sorry for calling you all of a sudden. These are the owners of Roberts, our business partners," the president introduced. I bowed my head. "Wait, Roberts? That's the same surname as Julia. What a coincidence." As I sat on the sofa as directed, the Roberts couple smiled at me. "Nice to meet you. We are from Roberts Incorporated. No, let's leave the title aside. We came here as parents to thank you and ask you a favor." The president of Roberts said to me. I was completely lost for words and just stared blankly. "Actually, the Julia you've been tutoring is our daughter. We heard that she was able to move up a grade thanks to your help. Thank you so much." No. It was all thanks to Julia's efforts that she was able to move up a grade. So, it turned out that Julia was the president's daughter. I had no idea. I was just surprised. According to Mr. Peterson, the CEO, Julia had her pride and wanted to fend for herself without depending on her parents. It seemed that she started living on her own because of this. I heard about you from my daughter. I wanted to express my gratitude for everything you've done for her, and I apologize for the inconvenience, but would you please continue to help her with her studies? He said. With these words, both the CEO and his wife bowed deeply in thanks. Do you what? Please lift your heads, I protested. Being shown such respect by the CEO, a man like me, just an ordinary employee, felt quite awkward. After a few insistences, they finally raised their heads. Apparently, Julia had always had bad grades since she was young. She had received tutoring from various people, but it seems the only one who could make a real difference was me. Julia trusted me, and the ridiculous personnel change that made me the CEO's secretary happened so that it would be easier for me to adjust my work schedule. Our CEO was quite capable, so he didn't need an assistant. His permission allowed me to go to Julia's place at any time. I did not have the privilege to seek shelter from this situation. But why did the executive go to such great lengths? Was it solely because they cherished this professional connection that deeply? Interestingly, the executive and I have been close friends since childhood, what you might call best pals. I've known Julia since she was young, and like everyone else, I've been concerned about her academic struggles. The executive, noticing my confusion, kindly explained our relationship. It seems that when Julia was in high school, the executive used to oversee her studies. She managed to pass her college entrance exams, but ended up in a sort of academic limbo. Although my department has changed, my salary has remained the same, so it's a win-win situation for me, or at least it should be. However, this lack of a right to refuge has shown me the daunting power that adults with authority possess. It was agreed that I would be responsible for Julia's care, with the approval of both our families and the company. Julia's academic performance has improved somewhat, but I cannot let my guard down. The bond between us blossomed right after we advanced to the next chapter of our lives. Your assistance has been invaluable, and I'm grateful for it. Julia seemed a bit self-conscious at first, but I felt a sense of connection. We supported each other, and before long, she became my wife. Life can surprise us in the most unexpected ways. The woman I initially saw in a vulnerable state is now my life partner. However, Julia still seems more concerned about the numerous remedial notices than the memory of that first encounter. Playfully, she asks me to take accountability, while also requesting my help with her studies. Yet this time, the focus is not on academic topics, but rather on developing professional conduct and essential knowledge for working adults. The CEO was equally delighted. Who would have thought that Julia would grow so much? He is an exceptional individual who single-handedly founded the company and continues to propel it forward, achieving levels of performance that even a seasoned CEO would find challenging. But perhaps it's best to keep that information hidden away. Remaining unaware may prove the wiser choice. Living my life joyfully now, but the trigger that led me to discover Julia's retake notices was when Fluffy entered my room. In that way, I should be grateful to Fluffy for visiting my room. Meow. The matchmaker of our romance spent another day nestled under the warm sunlight. My name is Kevin. This year, I turned 40. I work at a small-town factory near my home, manufacturing auto parts, mainly car lights. My job is to supervise temporary workers lined up on the assembly line and ensure we deliver the specified lights by the deadline. Some of these workers have issues that trouble me, and one such case is the recently joined Emily Smith. There are no problems with her work or performance. In Emily's case, it's not so much a problem as it is a concern. Emily didn't have lunch again today. I asked her, sitting in a corner of the cafeteria during lunch break. She looked up at me awkwardly. Yes, I didn't have time to buy, she said. You can leave the factory to buy some, I suggested. But wouldn't that be against the company's rules? She asked. It can't be helped. If you don't eat properly, it'll affect your work in the afternoon too, I replied. I'm sorry, but I don't have the money to buy food, she said. Again, she not only doesn't bring lunch, but she also barely has any money on her. Even as a temp, she should be making between $1,800 to $2,000 a month, including overtime. The pay might be low, but it's not so bad that she should always be struggling financially. Plus, she lives with her parents. She should have some money to spend. Hey, are you managing your money properly? I asked. And Emily, you should take more care with your appearance. She looked down as I said this. Emily had just graduated from high school, but frankly, she was unkempt. Although she seemed to bathe, it appeared she wasn't washing her company uniform properly, as it was dirty and worn out. She smelled bad, causing complaints from other temp workers. I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to use the washing machine, she explained. That can't be true. Everyone's getting upset, so please come properly dressed from tomorrow, I insisted. She nodded weakly to my words, but at that time, I didn't realize she was in a situation far worse than I could have ever imagined. These young people nowadays really lack discipline. That night, after finishing work and returning home, I grumbled to my wife Susan for dinner about Emily again. Yes, she doesn't really bring lunch, she's careless with money, and on top of that, not washing her clothes is just the worst. Don't you think? Oh, that topic again. Susan's expression clouded. Lately, I have been complaining about Emily to my wife quite a bit. She must be tired of hearing it, but Susan's reaction was unexpected. Maybe Emily is being mistreated by her parents, she said. What do you mean? I asked. I've been hearing some rumors in the neighborhood, and it got me thinking, Susan explained. She then told me about a recent rumor she'd heard. Apparently, in a family that had moved into a public housing complex, a daughter was being neglected by her parents. The family's last name is Smith. Could it be? Well, it seems that girl is her father's stepchild and the family treats her coldly, Susan said. Can you keep an eye on her for a while? Understood. I was stunned by my wife's words, but thinking about it, it explained why Emily didn't bring lunch or have any money if her parents were taking all the money she earned. Just the thought of it made me feel sick. However, I was about to witness something even more shocking. It happened on the weekend while shopping at the supermarket with my wife Susan. I coincidentally saw Emily. Come on, hurry up and walk. Stop it, Kevin. Emily was being hit by a little boy. It was more like playful punching around her waist, but she clearly didn't like it. Besides, there were a man and a woman who looked like her parents, laughing loudly as they watched. Look, that's Emily, the girl you were talking about, Susan said. No doubt about it. Excuse me, I'll go over there for a moment, I said. Wait, Kevin, Susan called out. I approached Emily. Hey, what are you doing? I asked the boy, grabbing his arm. Let go, old man, he shouted. I looked at Emily. Hey there, Emily. What a coincidence meeting you here, shopping with your family. Huh. Yes, that's right, she said, her eyes filled with fear as they shifted towards her parents, who were watching me with suspicion. Are you Emily's parents? I asked. I've always been grateful for her help. I'm Kevin, the factory manager. Oh, is that so? Her father responded with a suspicious look and a curt greeting. But then he said something astonishing. About Emily's salary. Can it be raised a bit? She even does overtime, but doesn't bring in much money. Can something be done about that? Jerk, her mother shouted. We're letting you use our daughter. Pay her more. Let go, you old jerk. The boy, whom she called Kevin, tried to shake off my hand. I released his hand. Fine, don't mess with me, he said, and ran back to his parents. Dad, beat up that old jerk, Kevin shouted. Not here. We'll deal with it later. The father laughed loudly and crudely at his son's words. What's with these people? Susan murmured beside me. She gently tugged at my clothes, a signal to move away from these people. Well, we'll be going then. See you at work, Emily, I said. Hey, think about her pay raise, will you? The father shouted after us. Ignoring the shouting boy, we walked away from the Smith family. Emily watched us leave with a longing gaze. Kevin, thank you for yesterday. The next day at work, Emily approached me. I didn't realize what you were going through. I'm sorry for any thoughtless things I've said before. I know it's embarrassing, but I couldn't do anything about it, she said, and began to slowly share her circumstances. Since her parents divorced and she was taken in by her father, Emily had always been burdened with household chores. Because of this, there were times she couldn't go to school. After middle school, she worked part-time while attending a night high school with her father's permission. At that time, she wasn't deprived of her earnings. She had to manage everything herself, but she lived relatively freely. However, everything changed after her father remarried. Her stepmother disliked her and treated her coldly, teaching Kevin, her stepbrother, to treat Emily like a servant. Her father never reprimanded the stepmother's behavior. Instead, they demanded she pay back for being raised by taking all her earnings from her part-time jobs. Her clothes and personal belongings were thrown away by her stepmother, and she was even restricted from bathing often and washing her clothes. That's why I couldn't wash my uniform freely, and it got all tattered. I'm really sorry, she concluded her story. I was speechless for a while, overwhelmed by her situation, which was worse than I could have imagined. Despite being in such a tough situation, I thought she was strong for enduring it alone, but also felt deeply sorry for her. Then I handed her something. Here, eat this if you'd like. What is this? She looked at the package I handed her with a confused expression on her face. My wife made this packed lunch especially for you. She really wants you to have it. Just give me back the empty box when you're done. No rush. Wow, your wife made this homemade lunch for me. I'm so touched, she said, tears welling up in her eyes. Trying to hold back her tears, she said in a trembling voice, Thank you so much. Even though I've been such a burden, it's okay. Also, could you hand me your uniform over the weekend? My wife is eager to wash it for you. Are you sure? You're doing so much for me, she responded in a tearful voice. That's all we can do for you. And remember, if you ever want to leave your current situation, you can always talk to us. Thank you, but what would my family say if I accepted help? Tears streamed down her face as she tried to hold them back. It's okay. I know someone who's an expert in these matters. We can definitely help you. I gently rubbed her shoulders to reassure her. Sobbing, she expressed her feelings. I don't want to live in that house anymore. I want to have a normal life like everyone else. Please help me. Her pain, borne in silence for so long, resonated painfully with me. That night, the front of my house became a bit of a battleground. Hey, where did you take Emily? Bring her out. For some reason, Emily's father came to my house demanding her return. He kept banging on the door, yelling at us inside. Susan looked at him anxiously. Hey, are we okay? she asked me. We are fine. Besides, if we engage with him, our house will turn into a mess. I reassured her while holding her shoulder. Emily wasn't even here to begin with. It's a hassle that he showed up like this. For now, I've called the police, just like you said. Susan whispered to me while holding her phone. Good, that's the right move. I smiled at Susan and took the phone from her. I then dialed a certain number. Soon after, Emily's parents were taken away by the police. Phew, that was scary. I'm sorry for causing this. Emily's apologetic voice came through the phone. I spoke gently to her over the phone. No, it's okay. Did you manage to get to the station all right? Yes, I'm on my way to the NPU you told me about, Emily replied happily. Yes, I was the one who helped her run away from home. The reason Emily's parents came to my house was that I had advised her to leave a note implying she was heading here. I thought it would buy her some time to escape. But are you sure I'll be accepted? She sounded anxious. Don't worry. Helping kids oppressed by their parents is what that NPU does. Thank you so much. Her voice trailed as she spoke. I could sense her near tears even over the phone. I've done what I can now. It's up to you. You have to carve out your own life. You okay with that? Yes, I'll be fine. You've endured your family's unreasonable treatment for so long. I'm sure you'll be okay, no matter what difficulties you face. Yes. Oh, I've arrived. I'm going to hang up now. All right. Take care. Yes, thank you for everything. With those words, the call ended. I gently moved the phone away from my ear and smiled kindly at Susan beside me. She'll be fine. She's brave enough to ask for help. Susan smiled back and gently held my hand. Later, I heard that the NPU had reported Emily's parents to the police, and they were being investigated. Her stepbrother Kevin was taken in by his father. The next day, when the employees wondered about her absence, I simply said she had moved. Years passed in the blink of an eye. Look, Kevin, we've got a Christmas card from Emily. Really? I exclaimed as Susan handed me the card. In the Christmas card, she appears posing with her husband. She is also holding a cute baby in her arms. All three were smiling happily. She says the baby girl was born healthy last year. We need to send a gift. Emily had successfully severed ties with her parents and started a new family after our intervention. We still catch up over the phone every few months. She's now a mother. She's going to be a great mom. I agree. We smiled at each other while looking at the Christmas card. Though Emily had endured tough times, she was now happily living with her new family. I'm glad I listened to her plea for help back then, and I'm profoundly grateful to Susan for her support. Watching her smile, I thought to myself, I truly wish from the bottom of my heart that she continues to lead a happy life.